Econ in progress. So hi everyone, and welcome back to day 2 of this Write With Me, Planting a Queer Romance in Pseudo Write With Me, Dahlia. Today we will continue drafting our queer love story centering around Nora and Ellie and the mysterious house. And we will dive deeper into all the stuff we brainstormed yesterday. The class goals for today. Hopefully, we will finish setting up the story Bible, prepare the first chapter, including writing the chapters summary and generating beats so that we can dive into writing tomorrow. But since my original plan had setting up the story Bible yesterday, I'm not so sure if this will work, but we'll do our best. Before I start with the brainstorming and story Bible stuff, let's cover a few quick housekeeping items. Please stay muted during the demonstration to minimize background noises. And if you want to speak up, raise your hand before you speak or use the chat for questions or comments. Menar is here and will keep an eye on the chat so that I can address all your questions during Q&A breaks or at the end of the session. Great, now that we're all set, let's jump into day 2. Grab your tea, coffee, or writing snacks, and let's get started. Yesterday, we stopped after generating our synopsis. And today we will work on character generation. And before I forget to do it, I will post the link for you all in the chat so that you can look at everything that I'm sharing and get all the prompts. When I generate characters, I like to use a header to guide the character generation in the synopsis box to ensure that I get more nuanced and diverse characters, since I had the experience so far that the AI tends to be very, well, white and heteronormative if you just let it free rein on what it's generating. And so I asked chat to give me a nice header that would guide the character generation to be a bit more inclusive and diverse. And you can use a similar header or give other instructions for the characters by putting them at the top of your synopsis box. This is in JSON format, but it should also work if you just give it instructions in plain language. This was just what chat gave me, so I just didn't touch it anymore. And then we're going to go down here to characters. And some of the custom one of the custom fields I added is identity markers. Now you cannot see it completely, but this includes age, gender identity, sexual orientation, ethnicity, cultural background, religion, spirituality, abilities, class identity, and body type, since these are all factors that make up the identity of a character. And if you look at all of these, you see them in a more complex way instead of only seeing them through the lens of one or two of their identities. So they end up being more fully fleshed characters. And and that helps to write them in a more realistic way. And other things I like to have for my characters are like quirks or unique behaviors, mannerisms, habits, and some more meta stuff like which themes are explored through this character and which role they play in the story. Like I had already mentioned yesterday, I like to make sure that every character that's part of my story actually fulfills some kind of role that isn't just some superfluous. Yeah, like
Official.
superficial. Thanks. That was the word I was looking for. Some superficial character that's not really needed. I hope that now. And to start out, I like to just use the generate all characters thing to see which characters pseudo-write things are important from the synopsis. And I just like the way this moves when I hover over it. Since this takes a little while, does anyone have a question in the meantime?
It's clear, but they can for sure ask question out loud.
Hmm?
The chat is clear, but they can for sure ask question.
Yes. Yes, go ahead if you have any question.
We need a music during these things are generating.
Yeah, we should really get some background music, like, I don't know.
We have
Like
Nora.
Noah is there. Perfect. She, her, in her early 30s. Short. Hey, okay. This is a little cliche. This the wavy brown hair. They always have wavy brown hair, it seems. Expressive green eyes. I wonder if someone will have our piercing blue eyes. Motion. Here we have, but we have our Nora, who is our protagonist. Books. Oh, she loves the smell of old books and fresh paint. And dislikes crowded places where she feels overwhelmed. It feels very relatable to me. Okay. We have our love interest, Ellie. Nice. Oh, someone who also feels uncomfortable in overly crowded places, something they can bond over. It's normal. Sam. An easygoing heterosexual orientation. What exactly does that mean? That's our jokester that we had found yesterday. Ava. Oh, and so far it looks we got all the characters from yesterday. Marisol. Oh, and this is something that sometimes happens, but yeah.
Much every. How would you fix that?
I would tell it to power. But
And then go in the rewrite and
yeah,
merge all in one.
yeah, is one way. I was looking if maybe there was just neat little point where you could just say
No.
we delete everything afterwards, but it's just too, yeah.
Yeah, I tried that many times, but it's different words. It just
Yeah,
they
it's
look like
just too. Okay, how's the best? One or two sentences. Let's see what it will make out of this. And while this is working, let's see what Grace Callahan, yeah, that's is the sister. And it's very random. It sometimes occurs that we have story. Ah, was it? That's it, right? But that sounds good. And looking through this, there are a few characters missing that I remember from our exploring so far. And for this, I think the easiest way is just to head over to our conversation we had in chat yesterday. And people who are missing, where are they? Our I can find. Great. Here's the supporting cast. We had Sam, Ava, Dylan, Marisol, Grace. I think we did have Mr. Harris. What did we? No, we didn't get our Mr. Harris, so we would add him here. Just with generate characters and while we're doing this for our missing characters, are there any questions in the chat?
No, everything's clear.
Awesome. Ward. Tends speaking riddles or old sayings. Oh, that's nice. Like It's very old people-ish. Mhm. Okay, have him. Lila. And of course, we need our two antagonistic forces. One is Delacroix. With a pamphlet for traditional Catholic values. Yeah, checks out. Picture. Adjusting glasses. And last, we also have
James Holloway.
yes, the slick contractor who used to employ Ellie. And with this, I think we have a big enough cast to make this like a lively story, but not having too many side characters walking around. Upper middle class. Haven't seen anyone with piercing blue eyes. I just have to check if no one has piercing blue eyes. I'm shocked, but that's good. Apparently the AI learned that that's not something every character in every book needed, because it was one of the very beloved AI isms that came in.
Now they have a lot of saying green eyes and emerald eyes.
Oh yes, yeah. I really think it's not that realistic if we have so many people with green eyes. Like, what's the word? Statistically, that was what I was looking for.
We have a check a statistic on that.
What?
So you asked ChatGPT was a statistic on color eyes in the world.
I haven't checked this, but I heard somewhere that like 2% or something, like a very, very low number have green eyes. So it's probably realistic that people have piercing blue eyes, but I digress. Now we have our little cast and our antagonists. A little supporting characters. Leonor. Well, Okay, this makes no sense. Oh, Ellie's grandma. For a moment, I was confused because the grandma was dead, but it's the other grandma. Okay, she's fine to be here. So,
To know if you keep everything in the character box when it's generated by pseudowrite, or do you go and edit it yourself too?
well, usually I would read a bit more closely over everything and change stuff that's not to my liking. But on first glance, the stuff we got now looks okay to continue. And since I'm planning it out anyway, I often go in and change stuff when I figure out while I'm writing that this isn't working the way I like it. You know,
I like to change things too as I go and you generate a chapter, you look at it, and that's where you know when to change a few things in your character box.
yeah, it's like when I'm writing and I get stuff from pseudowrite that's like doesn't feel right to me, then I look into the character box to see where it might need any fixing. But for the but skimming everything, there's nothing glaringly wrong for me right now, so that we can go ahead. Are there any further questions about character creation?
Chat is clear.
Awesome. Then the next thing would be world building. For this story, we already have one setting, that's the house. And like within side characters, I just grab what I have here. Already brainstormed for the house as a supporting character. I just have to check first. Oh, yeah. Hadn't updated this yet because I also like to have for setting this role in story trait. Let's go.
In your character box, did you put something about narrative approach, free indirect discourse?
That's
In there somewhere.
that was in the style box.
That's in the style box? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see the result in the first chapter when they start talking.
Yes. And we have here for every character also their dialogue style, which influences a bit. Ah, here, the Callan house. Nestled at the end of a quaint lane in a small town where everyone knows each other's story, Callan House sits surrounded by an overgrown garden that hints at its former glory. Yeah, that's like a nice image this is creating. Okay. But aside from this house, we also had a few other settings that I think were mentioned. Okay. And then it's up in the brain dump. This is faster. Aside from the house, we also have the town. Right now, we Whispering Pines. I like this. It's a better name than the town. That's a town. While I'm setting this up, this is also a good time if anyone has other questions. This always takes a little while to generate everything.
Do you put any of your character right away in the first? How do you manage your character? Do you pause some when you start the first chapter, or you just leave them all open?
For the characters, I usually, well, that depends whether I want to like hide something about a character, but usually I would leave them open since they're only drawn in if I mention the character in the story. So for characters, that usually is safe as long as they don't have a name or another name that would cause them to be drawn in. I would just leave them in there. I might go in here and hide stuff from their background that shouldn't be mentioned yet. But in usual, I don't hide the characters. It's, no, it sounds good. Since I usually work with guided write or auto write, I pay more attention to word building when it comes to hiding or showing content, since that's something that's always read by by guided write when I use it. Okay. Now we would have all the settings that were mentioned already. Something that I also like to do with word building when I'm just starting out is use random to get something unexpected. But maybe Since I like the, okay, this is not working as it should. It should not create a character. Let me grab a screenshot so that I can send a bug report later, since the character, the world building generation should not generate characters. That's odd. But let's give it another try. Let's maybe some item. Okay, this is indeed very odd. I keep them here so they can investigate this, but we don't need these. So we're out of luck for funny random items, and we just stay with this stuff for the moment. And another world building card that I always like to use is chapter glue. It's not relevant for what we're doing now, since we are only on the, we'll be working on the first chapter, but this chapter glue holds summaries of chapters past, so that when I write my story, the right button knows what has happened in past chapters. And I usually just call it chapter glue because I'm not very imaginative. Okay. Are there any questions so far? Was the chat clear?
Chat is clear. Kat says she has to go. She's
Oh,
thanking
then.
you.
Okay, then.
Stop the record.
Bye-bye, Kat. I will send out a link to the recording for people to catch up. Okay, so the next step, as usually, would be generating the outline. And I would just go with novel outline for this, since while I'm writing in Romance, I don't want to follow the classic Romance tropes too closely, and like to have it a bit more focused on the themes and tropes, instead of going for like the classical Romance outline.
Did you ever try that custom outline?
Oh, I've tried it before, but I haven't yet set up a custom outline for my queer romance novels. So maybe by the next iteration of this, I will have something different to show there.
Yeah, you cannot set it up. He doesn't keep it in, so you have to save it somewhere else. But you just, when you custom, you just put the outline that you want to use and in.
Yeah. Right now, I don't have this outline, so I will try this another time. Generate.
I will talk about it on my nonfiction in January.
Yeah, I hope that by the end of January, I'll have a bit to talk about in my classes as well. Since it's so new, I haven't. Oh yeah, question.
Can you read chapter glue? Mona missed it. She had to go out to do something, and she missed the explanation of your chapter glue.
Okay, so the chapter glue is basically this card holds the information of what happened in the previous chapters, so that when you like write the second or the third chapter, it reads the little summaries of the chapters and knows what already has happened, so that it doesn't just start a new, what it thinks is a new story every time it starts a new chapter. And I use this in the way that I would put it in the prompt, something like previously, : chapter glue. And that way it gets pulled in and read by the AI. And I fill this up as I go. Like when I've finished with the first chapter, I will put a summary in here, and then I will add chapter 2, and so on. And for example, if I'm writing dual POV, I would hide the information that the current POV doesn't know when I'm writing. For example, if the odd chapters are one POV and the even chapters another, I just make sure that I have this feeling I'm explaining this too complicated, but that only the POV we write only knows what the POV character can know. That may be not as important with a romance novel, but for example, if we have a thriller and I have chapters from the villain's POV, that obviously the hero should know about the stuff that happens in there. And so I would also hide the information from the AI while writing on the hero's chapters. But right now there's nothing in here anyway, so we can put this on never for now. I hope this answered the question.
Yeah, it will answer even more when we get to chapter 1 and you put your beat headers and stuff. That will make everything much clearer.
Yeah, definitely. Although I'm not really using beat headers since I'm not using chapter generator, so but we will see.
Okay, we'll see how that goes.
We'll see.
Chapter 1.
So now we have our little, let's see how many chapters we got.
How many acts did you give us? 5. The epilogue.
1 year. It's looked like we have 2 little epilogues, but not bad. Let's see. Nora Callahan, a once promising musician, now adrift in life, receives news of her grandmother's passing and the inheritance of a dilapidated, I hate this word, dilapidated Victorian house in Whispering Pines. As she walks through the town square, the scrutiny of locals make her acutely aware of her outsider status. Nora visits Marisol's cafe, where she overhears whispers about the family's history. Marisol Herrera, the warm but no-nonsense cafe owner, serves Nora a comforting latte and offers a gentle welcome. As Nora stands before the rundown house, memories of her estrangement from her family flood back, along with a spark of hope for a fresh start. Yeah. I just skimmed through this since I'm more planting. I just want to have a general, like a rough outline that hits all the important points for me. So it doesn't need to be that like perfect to start. Mission begins. Misfit crew assembles. Town scrutiny. I like the chapter headings it came up with. Community canvas, dance within walls. Yes, in part it's still very vague, but that's something I'll be working on while writing. But overall, I like the direction this is going.
Which chapter did they start talking about the secret of the house?
Sam's the Misfit Screws sample. I think chapter 5. Hinting at secrets yet to be uncovered. Town scrutiny. Then they find a hidden room. That's nice. I would likely read over this a bit more closely until tomorrow, but for now, looking at the first chapter, I think that's a good starting off point. And before I start work on chapter 1, I copy everything in here from our outline. So that I can link all this in our overview document later on. Now, one thing I like to do when I'm working on a specific chapter is using chapter-specific genre and style boxes. That's something that I learned from Nicole. And I usually have them structured like, I think this is in here. Yes. So it's a bit jumpy today. I have them structured with tropes, themes, mood, tone, and subgenre niche for the genres. And for style, pacing, unique elements, sentence structure, word choice, point of view and voice, and emotional focus of the scene. And for easily generating this information, I created a plugin. That I just drop into the link. I drop the chat into the link. So in case anyone else wants to try this out. Okay. And to use the plugin, you would have to be in the linked chapter, and it will read the chapter summary. Oh, I hope it would read this. I only ever tested this so far in the test environment, so I hope it also works when it's now used live. But yeah, it looks good. Soft Southern Gothic homecoming narrative. That's very niche. Which was massive. That's a bit more detailed than we actually would need. But I'll just copy this in here. And that's something that I would put at the top of the chapter summary.
You're going to have to restart that because even I got lost and Cat got lost too. So you're not the only one, Cat. So you're using a plugin and your plugin is reading.
Yeah, I used the plugin. I have linked it in the chat. And this plugin reads the linked chapter summaries. Like in this case, like in this case here, outline linked is chapter 1. So it reads, basically it read this part. And based on this, it created some chapter specific genre information and style information. Yes, from the outline.
You're going to have to go back again. So you copied the whole outline, you put it in a new document.
Yeah, but this is just for safekeeping. This is just for keeping. Yeah.
Can you create another document, which is chapter 1, or did you generate chapter 1 and then use a plugin?
I created the chapter here, like chapter 1.
Mm-hmm. And then you use a plugin on it.
And then I use the plugin on this chapter. And
okay, so you put everything inside the chapter 1, or no, you just gather chapter 1, then you use a plugin and you copy all the plugin in there. Oh, boy.
Yeah, just usually I wouldn't copy this stuff inside this document, but since I want to share this stuff with you, I put this in it so that I can give you the link to this document later.
Is everyone understand the thing there?
Did everyone cut up?
Yes, that's what I want
Was
to know.
this clearer?
I think so, she says. I'm in the same boat. I think so too. When you do chapter 2, we probably will says, okay. Well, we have to pay attention.
Yeah, I hope we get to this chapter. Yeah. And it's this this plugin that I created. Yeah. It's created on my I think it's from my usual account, not my teacher's account, but I can just show you. Yours, where's it? Yeah, this one. I can just show you real quick what it's doing. May just put this invisible. And it just reads, this is the scene, the chapter summary, and it knows what's the general genre is, and using this information from the linked scene summary, it gives me chapter-specific genre information and chapter-specific style information. And so that it knows what I want, I gave an example. Because sometimes the AI doesn't really reliably know what it wants to do. But there are also, I think, similar plugins by Nicole, and probably John made one as well. And John has basically created the plugin for everything. But this just follows my preferred structure. Okay. I hope I haven't confused anyone any more than before. But I just hope.
Just want to learn exactly how you do it so we understand the process of your workflow.
Yes.
It's a workflow.
Okay. Good. But if everything's clear now, we would go to the next step in preparing the chapter to be written. And that is using a rewrite prompt. That should be this little neat. I don't know why Sudoroid has this weird jumping around stuff lately, but I hope it gets fixed after the holidays. Okay. I use a prompt like this to make the 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 chapter summary a bit more detailed and better structured. And you will also get this prompt in case you want to also use it. And that way, I have everything a bit more clear about the conflicts that are present in the chapter and what the goal of the chapter is, so that I can easily remind myself of this while I'm writing. And I would just grab this here, go back to the outline. And use this rewrite outline feature and put everything in here. And the goal is that it contains more specific details and isn't as vague as AI summaries often tend to be. And oops, that looks interesting. And while this is going, are there any more questions?
No, they are waiting for the result.
Oh, good.
I have a question if I may ask. Okay, so
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm a little bit kind of confused right now. So you took that prompt and you inserted it into chapter 1 and you rewrote what you had on there. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, I used the prompt here with the rewrite and put it here into custom instructions.
Could you please share that rewrite prompt with us?
It's in the document, but I can also put it in the chat so that you can just grab it now.
And the purpose of you rewriting that in chapter 1 was to give it more detail because what pseudo generated was not exactly what we would want. Is that correct? I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, I usually find that this is like a very short summary, and it's often not very detailed and very vague.
Got it.
And I like the summary to be
more
longer
detailed.
and with more details in it. Like you see, this is like
sounds good. I am so
twice
sorry
or three
for the
times as much. No problem, no problem. That's the purpose of this class, so that you can learn how.
Thank you so much.
How I work with this.
Thank you.
Yeah. And now this is a bit better structured. Just have to make sure that nothing got lost. Yeah. And we have our place and time. And it's got a bit clearer on the conflicts. Since reading through the short summary, it was like, is there any actual conflict? It wasn't that detailed before. I usually would put. That's also something that I don't know why Sudowrite is doing that.
And we're trying to fix that so we can actually correct things without having everything to move around.
Yeah, so I will copy this out. It will
Thanks,
edit it in here. So and I hope this will keep the formatting. No, it doesn't. That's a bit annoying. That's just very I just try a trick that works sometimes, that I put it in here. Oh no, it doesn't work either. Ah, shame. Shame. Okay. Then I feel we have to live with it being turned into something that's not really easily readable for humans. That's unfortunate. I have some workaround, but I can't recall what I usually do. I copied into something, but I'm not sure which program it was that would keep the.
You do the right side of your mouse. Does it give you to move with styles?
Oh, das geht das. Oh, einsetzen. I just try this one. Since it would be. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. So at least we got it in here. I will have to remember this. Copy with style, it works. Since now I was so distracted, I lost my train of thought where I was going with this. Yeah.
Now you have your prompt and you have your result, and you put that into not a chapter 1 document.
Okay, we have the
result is going to be the one you're using to produce your beads, or?
Yes, exactly. That's what I'll be using for beads, but I also like to add a little header to it. That helps me getting what's good. Like excellent. I like to use excellent, and excellent tends to be a bit concise often. And this header helps me to get it to write a bit longer and to linger a bit longer on the scenes. And so I always put this at the top of, this is the wrong chapter 1. Sorry for all the jumping. This is still the wrong chapter wrong. Okay, I would put this here on top. And now I can copy it back in, and it hopefully will still look nice. Ooh. Not no, it looks okay. Lost a few lines, but at least it's readable. And this is how I would prepare this before I generate the beats for a chapter. Oh yeah.
On top of the.
And since we're where's it? And all of this would be header information, basically. For the beat generation. And since we're at the top of a bit after by now, I would just go with the last step before I start writing, so that we can dive into the writing tomorrow, and that's generating beats. And while it generates our beats, you have last chance to ask questions.
I don't have a question. I just want to say that this has been like a wonderful class. I've learned a lot. I will have to rewatch it though, because the process is a little bit, I don't know. I will have to learn by doing and just follow step by step. I feel like it's a lot. I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but it feels like it's a lot to me. So,
Yeah.
but I just want to say thank you for sharing all this knowledge with us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And I make sure that I will upload the link as soon as the stuff is processed after the class is finished, and I will send it to all participants so that people can rewatch as their leisure. And now we have basically finished most of the preparations that I need. And so I'll say, if there are no more questions, I will say thank you a lot for joining me today. And I hope you enjoyed seeing how I approach setting up my story Bible and preparing the first chapter for writing, and that it gave you some inspiration. And if you found today's class helpful, I'd really appreciate if you could leave a rating or review, since your feedback is incredibly valuable for me and helps me refine and improve future sessions of this class. Tomorrow, we'll dive into writing the first chapter, and I'm excited to continue this journey with all of you and bring this story to life together. So thank you again, and also thanks a lot to Mana for keeping an eye on the chat and being a great co-host today. And I'll see you tomorrow at the same time. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and bye-bye.